Okay guys, so today I just want to talk about identifier variables and declarations. Um, First of all, identifiers are names that we use to identify elements. And elements are, for example, this function right here is an element, this whole thing. And then the identifiers right here, main. Usually it's followed by the keywords. And the keywords are in different colors. This class right here is also an element. And the identifier right here is this name that I gave it, my second class. This variable has an identifier as my variable. And we're just going to call identifiers names, so to make it easy. So there are certain rules as far as naming. You cannot just give any name to the identifiers. We're just going to go over these rules right here. So for specifically, we're going to talk about variables. So when you're giving out names, you can use letters and you can use numbers. So letters, numbers, and then two symbols. Only two symbols are allowed, which is the $ or the underscore sign. So let me go ahead and give you some examples. So these right here are variables, and these are their data types. I just want to do here. So if I want to give it a new name, I can do, hey, integer name. So that's a valid name. You can do, hey, you can do underscore name. That's a valid name. Hey, we can go ahead and do name underscore 2. All these are valid names. Now we cannot start with a number, so we cannot do to name, right? It'll give you an error, as you can see there. And your Java compiler should be able to catch any kind of errors as far as naming goes. Another thing that you cannot do is use a keyword. So you see these red words here. Usually they're red, but not always. Keywords are reserved by Java, and so the compiler is basically going to tell you, hey, you can't do that. I'm already using those words. So let's say we wanted to do integer and we want to use void as a name. It's going to say, hey, what are you doing? I'm already using this. And so it'll give you an error there. Okay, so those are the rules, right? So we have letters, names, and then $ and underscore. And then numbers cannot come first. Okay, so now we're going to talk about variables, which are basically this section right here. Okay, variables must have a data type, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And then variables are just basically placeholders for values, and they can often change. So this variable right here is a placeholder for the number 0. Right, so what we're saying is, hey, the data type is here. I need a variable of type integer, so you put the type first. I need an integer here, and I want that integer to be called my variable. And then on the right, you put the value. But you don't have to put the value, as you can see here, if you don't know it. There are on Java, and I'm not going to go over these yet. I'm just going to name them, but on a later video, I'll probably do that. There are 8 primitive data types. You have byte, and these go in order of size and in order of how large they can be. So for example, a byte, I think it's from -128, to +127, and then the next one is the short, and that one's a little bit bigger. The next one is the integer, and then that one's like -2 billion or something to like +2 billion, let's just say. So, you know, they're pretty big. And then you have, so after the integer, you have the long, and then these are all integers right here, right? These all have to be integers. After the long is, and then the long obviously goes further out, you know, let's say a trillion or something like that, you know. Then you have the floats. Now the floats are more decimal, right? So it'd be like from negative, you know, to 0.000 to some positive, you know, a million or something like that. So I'm just giving out examples. I don't have these memorized, but you can look them up. After the float is the double. And these are all the number ones. These are obviously decimals, the doubles and the float, and then these are integers. And the reason why these are important also is because when you declare a variable, you have to give the data type, and each data type is of a certain size. So for example, this byte, you're saying, well, that only goes so far, so why would I ever use this? Well, the reason why you would use it is because it doesn't take up as much memory, on your program, right? So if you have a double, that's going to take, way more memory than a byte. Um, okay, and then the final two data types are the Boolean, which is basically just holds true or false. As you can see, those are keywords for it. And then the other one is the character, which is basically holds a character. Okay, so those are the 8 data types. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. You can make your own data types. That's more advanced, so I'm not going to go over that. And then the final thing about variables that I want to say is that they are constant variables that you can make by adding the keyword final. So let's say you wanted this to not change. You can do final variable, and then this 0 cannot change. If you tried to change it equals 9, you would get an error, right there. Okay. Usually those are for numbers. Let's say you wanted to do pi, you can do final, double, and so what we're saying is, hey, don't go ahead and don't change it. And then, well, this is crazy. Usually, what am I doing wrong here? Final double pi equals 3.14. Okay, yeah, that was weird. And so here you say, hey, go ahead and don't make sure this doesn't change. Okay, so there are naming conventions. They're not rules, but they make your program easier to read. One of the conventions is that variables, such as these, methods, such as these, and packages, such as this, all start with lowercase. That's why, obviously, I had mine start with lowercase. The exception is constant variables. They're all uppercase, okay? As you can see, this final one is uppercase. The next thing is you want to use either camelback or underscore. So for example, I already have some of these up here, but I'll make a new one. Integer, my name is Will. As you can see, it starts with lowercase, and then it goes to uppercase in the next word, and then it goes down to lowercase in the next word, and then it goes to uppercase. So it's kind of like a camel. That's how you want to name. That's the usual convention for Java. There is another convention, but it's not preferred by Java. I believe it's Python and C++. At least that's how I did them. Is you use what you call underscores. So my name is Will. It's a little bit easier to read in my opinion, but it's kind of a pain to do the underscores because you have to hold the shift key, and also it's just a little bit longer. But yeah, that's how you do it. So if you were actually going to do a final variable, so final integer, since it's all uppercase, you can do my integer, right? So you all uppercase and you have that letter in between, that underscore in between, so that it's easier to read. Okay, like I said, constants are all uppercase. All right. Now, the last thing I want to go over is just declarations. So you want to, when you declare a variable, so right here is a declaration. We declare this variable, right? Once you declare it, you can use it for whatever you want. So for example, I already have created that variable. I told the computer, hey, I'm going to use this variable. You can now be like, hey, variable equals 10. Or my variable, I'm sorry. All right, I can go ahead and use that. There are different ways to declare different data types, but usually, or not usually, it's always going to be integer, so not integer, data type. So data type followed by the variable name is basically it. So we want, this is the data type right here, and then we have the variable name followed it after. You later learn how to make your own data types. But we're going to go over here. I've already written some. Oh, I don't know what happened to it. I guess I lost it. That's okay. I'll go ahead and just create some simple ways to make declarations. So the first one is just if you don't know what it is, or if you don't want to say what it is, you can do my variable. So data type and then name. That's it. The name of your variable. Okay, so let's say you do know what it is. You can put integer my variable 1 equals 10. So you're saying, hey, I know what it is. This is the data type, this is the name, and this is the value. And you do it after the equal sign. So that's another way to do it, to declare variables. The next one is, I'm going to use a different data type this time. It's called a string. So my name equals Will. Okay. So this string, the reason why I bring it up, it's not a primitive data type, it's an object, but the reason why I bring it up is because it's important because as a beginner you use it a lot since it's how you create words, right? So you can do Will is nice, and there you have it. Okay. Same thing, so you can do this with a double, an integer, any kind of data type. You can just go ahead and switch these around. You can either put the number or the value or not. Okay, the next way is if you have multiple ones. So let's say I have, a big list of variables, and I don't just want it to say, my name, and then my name again. My name too is, let's change these up. My name is Rick. My name is Will. Or maybe I have this long list and I don't really want to keep typing it. What you do is you put a comma, right? So if you know the values, so you do string, my name, Will, comma, my name too is Rick. So that way you don't have to keep typing string and going to the next line. Now, if you didn't know the values, then that's fine too. Just delete the value, do that, the value, do that, and that's pretty much it. And in case you didn't know, the semicolon has to be put after every statement, so that's why you see me do that. Okay, so that's another way to do it. You just create a list. It can be frowned upon to do this if it's not easy to follow, but I use it sometimes. The next thing is you can do calculations. So for example, you can do integer number equals 5 times 5. That is perfectly fine. That'll hold a value of 25. Okay? And same format. Data type, name, value after the equal sign. The last way that I want to show is integer number 2 equals number. So you can actually do a declaration so you can have the value of whatever number has right now. So it has 25 right now. That's fine. Number 2 will hold 25, and that's important. That'll be useful for other things because let's say if you decide to change to 10, you don't have to change to 10 here because it's already there. It'll do it automatically, right? Now it won't update automatically, but the first declaration will have that value. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them if I can.